This episode is brought to you by Bumble. So, you want to find someone you're compatible with, specifically someone who's ready for a serious connection, totally open to having kids in the future, is a tall, rock-climbing Libra, and loves rom-coms with vegan pizzas on Tuesdays just as much as you do. Bumble knows that you know exactly what's right for you. So whatever it is you're looking for, Bumble's features can help you find it. Date now on Bumble.
This episode is brought to you by JLL. Get an insider view into the world of commercial real estate with JLL's podcast, Trends and Insights, the Future of Commercial Real Estate. Whether you're curious about making cities more sustainable, the evolution of office space, or AI opportunities, this podcast will help keep you a step ahead. Tune in for candid conversations with business leaders about the biggest trends impacting how we live, work, and play. Subscribe to Trends and Insights now at jll.com/podcast.
This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 2469. Who Actually Knows What They're Talking About? By Mark Fisher of markfisherfitness.com. And I'm Dr. Neil, your very own host and narrator. Hey there, and welcome back to Optimal Health Daily, where I read articles to you every single day of the week, with permission from the websites, of course. Now let's keep this intro nice and short and get right to the post as we optimize your life. Who Actually Knows What They're Talking About? By Mark Fisher of markfisherfitness.com. Be forewarned, today is a big topic. You may want to grab a cup of joe. Today we discuss a common mistake that virtually everyone makes when assessing fitness. We judge the source of fitness information by their physique, not by their actual expertise. This is perfectly normal, but nonetheless, it can lead us astray. Let me unpack how this happens and offer some frameworks for combating this thinking error. First, let me admit it. Over the years, I too have benefited from this bias. True, I may not look like a bodybuilder. With an unusually small rib cage for my height and gender, my career as a bodybuilder was doomed before it began. Alas, the size of one's torso is a meaningful constraint on max strength for most full-body lifts and upper body muscle mass. But I also know it's genetically easier for me than most to stay pretty lean. And for better or worse, having abs well into my 40s is a marker that matters to most people vetting fitness resources. Now, is my physique a function of working my butt off? Of applying and refining years of training and study? Of 2 decades and counting of consistency and discipline? You betcha. But there's no discounting some genetic advantages. Furthermore, I'm a skilled speaker and a decent writer. Admittedly, a certain percentage of people are turned off by my word choices, polish, and vibe. But on the whole, this has been another net positive in building credibility. With those damaging admissions aside, let me assure you, I actually do know my stuff, I swear. I've been studying fitness for over 2 decades. I've read dozens of books on training, and I have a talent for remembering what I read and synthesizing it into action. I've attended more conferences and received more certifications than I can remember. I've been a client of some of the best coaches in the biz. In my role at Mark Fisher Fitness, I've overseen the programs of literally thousands of people who consistently get great results. Finally, the best way to learn is to teach, and my job requires me to constantly distill best practices in a digestible format. But setting that aside, would I be less credible if I had different genetics and poorer personal physique results? To most people, yes. Would I be more credible if I had different genetics and better personal physique results? To most people, yes. Would I be even more credible if I had different genetics and took a modest amount of steroids and had even better personal physique results? To most people, yes. And lest you're rolling your eyes at steroids and assuming they automatically create hulking behemoths, consider this. A not well-kept secret of Hollywood and the fitness industry is widespread modest use of steroids that merely replicates world-class genetics. To be clear, I'm not making any of this wrong. This is human nature. We all have brains wired this way. If someone looks the part, we're more likely to listen to what they have to say. I'm just naming this phenomena so we can be critical thinkers together. So, when you see a post on Instagram or TikTok, or you see a book in the bookstore, or you see someone on a talk show, how do you determine that they're credible? It's not easy. In general, elite practitioners develop frameworks and systems by spending years integrating research, usually via proxy networks. Most practitioners don't do actual research. Identifying industry-wide consensus on best practices by studying industry leaders, and experimenting in the real world with real humans and adjusting based on results. But real talk? This is hard to gauge at a glance. And with the rise of social media, we now have an entire class of influencers who do not pass go, do not collect $200, and go directly to internet fame based on the genetics of their abs or butt or chest or waist circumference. And because they look the part, they will always be more immediately and intuitively compelling than an expert with poor genetics. This is further exacerbated if said expert with poor genetics is over 40. In spite of a longer track record and more experience, the physique delta widens between the influencer class and the individual with the track record. And all of this to say nothing of sexism, racism, or any other prejudice that consciously or unconsciously influences our preconceptions of what a fitness expert should look like. So how do we know who actually knows what they're talking about? Well, testimonials seem like they could help. But even here, if there's a large enough sample size, you'll find many clients with underutilized genetic gifts who see great results going from doing not much to doing something still pretty subpar. These individuals achieve success in spite of the flawed fitness methodology, but they become even more visual proof that a given expert knows what they're doing. So what do we do? Well, if you're looking to hire someone to help you through this, I have a whole article laying out how to choose a gym or trainer, so start there. When assessing experts in general, having advanced degrees in the field doesn't always translate to true expertise, but it's still the most meaningful signal that this individual has taken their craft seriously enough to spend years of their life and tens of thousands of dollars. So that's not a bad first step. And full disclosure, this is a marker I personally cannot claim unless you count a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in musical theater, which, alas, I don't. Another good sign. They say it depends a lot. While successful experts know that marketing requires selective assertiveness, in practice, the answers to any question always requires nuance and lots of context. Stated inversely, blanket statements that begin with always and never warrant a pause. Most experts develop a lot of humility around the ocean of things we don't yet know and the many variables of an individual situation. Here's one more consideration. What incentives does this individual have? If a given expert or social media influencer is sponsored by a brand or can make money off a claim, it warrants a pause to appreciate what role this might be playing. There's nothing wrong with making your living in fitness, but incentives can make things weird. So it's prudent to factor this in when considering an expert and their recommendations. This is a big topic, in part because it gets to the heart of many of the challenges we're currently having as a society. The proliferation of easy info everywhere and always has not democratized access to good information. It's made it harder to avoid misinformation. As George Bernard Shaw pessimistically said, quote, "All professions are conspiracies against the laity." End quote. This is a bit cynical, but there's obviously some truth in here, and this challenge predates the interwebs. My hope is this post prompts you to think critically about the fitness information you consume so you can make even better decisions for your personal goals. You just listened to the post titled, "Who Actually Knows What They're Talking About?" by Mark Fisher of markfisherfitness.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
This episode is brought to you by Hyperice, the leader in advanced warm-up and recovery technology. They have tons of innovative products, like Venom heated wearables to help soothe sore back muscles, Normatec compression boots to speed up recovery and increase circulation, and Hypervolt massage guns to improve mobility. Loved by athletes like Naomi Osaka and Erling Haaland. Try them yourself. Get 10% off your order with the code MOVE at hyperice.com.
How do you feel great on vacation? Like really good? Easy. You go to Aruba. You'll spend your time relaxing on cool white sand beaches and floating in healing blue water. You'll immerse yourself in natural wonder and find your center on an island where things move at your speed. You won't just feel great, you'll feel relaxed, renewed, and ready for life. That's the Aruba effect. Plan your trip at aruba.com.
Dr. Neal here for my commentary. If you've listened to one of my first Friday Q&A episodes of the month, you know that I have lots of degrees and credentials behind my name, and this definitely biases me to the fact that I value these things and that they bring a sense of credibility. Today's author, Mark, was absolutely right when he said that having degrees and certification helps, but they don't always translate to real-world experiences. For that, you need experience with, the real world, not just studying things in a lab. So as Mark said, when looking for credible sources, those with degrees and certifications related to the information you're looking for helps. It's a great starting point. But just like a good hiring manager would ask, we should also ask those with these credentials, what's your experience been like? Have you worked with others like me or those in similar situations? And were you able to actually help them? If you could find someone with the right credentials and experiences, you've probably got a winning combination. All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a subscriber or follower of the show. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.